Hey y'all, welcome to your first year of drum lessons, week 22 drum set edition. My name is Penny Larson and I am super happy to have you with me today. If you were with us on Wednesday, we introduced a new rhythm or hybrid rudiment called the herta, which is just 2 short notes and 2 long notes, most often expressed as either 2/16 and 2/8 or 2/32 and 2/16. Today we're going to apply that hybrid rudiment to the drum set. The lesson today is going to be a little bit different than some of our drum set lessons in that I'm going to demonstrate some ideas for you, and then I'm going to do a little bit of playing to show you how you can apply them, but I want you all to be thinking creatively about these lessons. I want you to be thinking how you can apply these ideas in ways that are different from how I'm doing them. As is typical around here, we've got ourselves a worksheet. We've got 2 basic applications of the herta. We're going to play it as triplets, and we're going to play it as 32nd notes and 16th notes. The triplets are kind of the more straightforward application. I have the time signature up here written as 3/8, but remember that 12/8 is just the way that we think of triplets in 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And so 12 divided by 4 is 3. So this is just 1 beat of that triplet feel in 12/8. And the reason I did this is just so you can see the pattern. Like I say, the 12/8, the triplet version of the herta, it stays consistent on the beat. When we get down to the 32nd and 16th note ones, we're going to have to make some adjustments around where the beat falls or where the herta falls on the beat. So for now, for the first section, we can just do it repeatedly. Also, I didn't write in sticking, like I say, because I want you to be creative, okay? So this will be, again, PDF down below in the doobly-doo. Please download it and look it over, especially when we get down here. I had to make some of these very small, so I bet you can't see even if I hold it up real close. So please download it and go over it. Let's start at the very top. Number 1, this is that pattern I was just talking about, 2/16 and 2/8 in a triplet feel. 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3. That's it. And so the first thing we'll do is just play that. I'm going to play just a triplet groove. 1, 2, 3, bop, do, do. 1, 2, 3, bop, do, do. And then I'll play the herta as a fill. And at first I'll do it just on the snare drum. 1, 2, 3, triplet, 4, triplet. Okay, so pretty straightforward, right? What if I want to play that with an 8th note groove instead of the triplet groove? Now I have to switch back and forth between the 8th notes and the triplets. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, if you've been keeping up with our other lessons, that shift back and forth from the triplets to the eighth notes to the triplets to the eighth notes should be something you've seen before, something you've worked on before. That's a shift that you should be able to make by this point, okay? So that was number one. Like I say, I didn't put any sticking in because I want you to mess around with sticking. Number two, now I'm going to play the first two notes on the small tom and the second two notes on the snare. And this is more common of how you might see the herta applied. Let me play this as a fill for you. I'm going to play a shuffle groove first, and then I'll go back and do the eighth note groove. And you can see how it fits with both of those. 1, 2, 3, 4. Part of the reason I didn't write the sticking in is because what if I want to do those first two notes on the floor tom? Do I really want to play right, left, right, left? I mean, I can, but that's a chore. I'd rather start with my left. Right, so let's see what that looks like with the beat. 2, 3, 4. But what if I want to break up the first two notes? So now we get to number 3. I'm going to play the first note on the floor tom, the second note on the small tom, and then the two eighth notes on the snare. And so with a fill, that can sound like 1, 2, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. But what if I want to move around even more than that? Well, that's why I wrote these pretty basic and why I didn't write sticking in, because you can play. Right, you can play all of these rhythms broken up any way you want. And so I gave you some ideas, but please don't think of these as the only ideas. Number 4, now we get into an inversion of the herta pattern. 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. Everything works exactly the same, just the herta is displaced 1 eighth note. So as a fill, that sounds like this. 2, 3, 4. And so now I've got the same move in number 5. I'm going to play 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to move the 2 quick notes to the small tom. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now in number 6, I'm breaking up the 2 quick notes on the small tom and the floor tom. And my initial sticking that I've written is right, left, left. Okay? So, or again, I haven't written in a sticking, but the pattern I'm thinking is right, left, left, right, left, left. 2, 3, 4. So again, you can break those up any way you want. We're going to talk about this a little bit more when we get to the 32nds and 16th notes. But for now, just know that you can break it up however you want. Number 7, now we're in that second inversion or third version of the herta, which the 2 quick notes are at the end. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1. Again, if any of this is confusing, check out our last lesson where we go a little bit more deeply into sort of the meat and potatoes of what the herta is and how we're counting it and how it moves around. Okay, so I'm kind of being a little quick with that today because we did that the other day. So 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then number 8 is the same kind of idea. I'm going to move the 2 quick notes to the small tom. I'm going to move the 2 quick notes to the floor tom here, just so you can see what I'm talking about changing it up a little bit. But I'm going to find myself in that same da, 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 da if I'm not careful. So I'm going to start this with my left hand. Da, 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 right? 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, and 1. Which means I'm going to crash with my left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then lastly for this section, number 9, now I'm breaking up those 2 quick notes again. So 1, 2, 3, and 2, 3, 4. that very last time, I turned it around, went right, I went right, left, 1, 2, 3, and that's the thing I'm trying to get. I'm saying it over and over again because I'm really trying to drive the point home. Hertas are malleable, right? You can take this pattern and do anything you want with it. Very malleable with the triplet form, but now let's talk about the binary, the 16th, or the 32nd and 16th. So number 11, we're skipping number 10 for 1 second. Number 11 is what the herta would look like if I just played it as 2 32nd notes and then 2 16th notes and kept looping it until I got back to 1. The thing is, because it's 2 32nd notes and 2 16th notes, 2 32nd notes equals 1 16th note. So the whole group of notes counts as if it were 3 16th notes, right? Because the 2 16th notes and then E and. Which means then the next group of 32nd notes is on the of 1, right? So it kind of rolls over the beat. And I'll show you what that sounds like in a second. I wrote it a little bigger in number 10, so you can see it here. I've got 16th notes and 8th notes. 1 E and 2 and a 3 and 4 E and. It almost doesn't even sound like a herta like this because the way I wrote it, we're going to get back to the beginning. Da 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 da, right? It doesn't have that digga-da-da, 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 digga-da-da kind of vibe that a herta really does. Okay, so number 10, I wrote in the bass drum, so I'm going to play that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that gets us through one measure, right? But you can say, well, like I just did, okay, but that's not a herta. What are we doing here? And so we're going to take one more step and make them the fast notes 32nd notes and the slow notes 16th notes. Isn't it fun to think of 16th notes as slow notes? But what that's going to do, as I was just saying, we're going to be rolling over the beat. You know, it's 3/4 of a beat, then 3/4 of a beat, then 3/4 of a beat. And that takes us 3 full measures to get all the way back around. I didn't write the bass drum in number 11, but I'll play the bass drum for you so you can see. And I'll accent the 1 of every third measure on the stack so you can hear where that is. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what do we do? How do we actually use this pattern? You can certainly just do that, right? I mean, heck. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, you can totally play 1 bar of a groove and 3 bars of Herta Fill if you want to. I'm mostly teasing. It would require a very special circumstance and or a very special band where that would be, where that wouldn't be a fireable offense. Okay, so careful with this stuff, right? Hertas can easily get out of hand because they're so simple to kind of throw in and they're so infectious, right, to play, that you can easily let yourself get carried away. So we're not going to do that. We're going to take 1 measure patterns of the herta. And honestly, even sometimes a whole measure might be too much. Maybe 1 or 2 hertas just to accent something might be enough, right? So number 12, what we're going to have to do is decide where we're going to cut off each herta in the next several examples. And so number 12, what I've done is at the end of that first measure, where the next 2 32nd notes would be, I've just made that a 16th note. So I'm cutting off the first third of what would be the continuing herta. 1, 2, 3, 4. and that creates a pattern where I'm going to crash with my left hand. Don't be afraid of crashing with your left hand. If it feels weird, take some time and just practice your left hand and your right foot together. Right, get used to that feeling, and then do something really simple, like 16th notes starting with your left hand and crash like every 2 beats. 2, 3, 4. Right, it's a very important skill that I think a lot of people neglect, is being able to crash ambidextrously. For me, it's kind of obvious that I would need to, as you know, I have crashes a lot of times kind of all around me, right? But if you have a really small drum set, and let's say you have a ride and a crash and a pair of hi-hats, and you're doing a fill and you get down to this floor tom and you need to crash, well, if you felt like bringing the extra crash to the gig that night and you've got a crash over here, well then great, just wail on it with your right hand. But you might have to get back to this crash. And depending on what you were doing down here, getting back over with your right hand is a lot more of a pain than just getting over with your left hand, okay? Don't be afraid of crashing with your left hand. Not only don't be afraid, do it. Utilize it. Let me play number 12 for you with a beat so we can see how that works, crashing with the left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and so we can utilize the things we were doing before to move the notes of the herta, the quick notes around. You can move the slow notes around too. We're mostly focusing on moving the quick notes around today. I'm going to get to one where I really like to move the slow notes around, and then I'll show you that as an example. Let me play a couple times through with moving it around a little bit. 2, 3, 4. Number 13, I'm taking out the whole last beat. I'm taking out the last herta and a third. So beat 4 is just 4E and a. 1, 2, 3, 4. Two, 3, 4. Now we're back to being able to crash with the right hand, assuming we start this with the right hand. And so let me play this one for you, and I'll move it around a little bit just so you can see what it's like. And you know what? Let's go, earlier on we were playing 8th notes and then we were filling with triplets. Let's play a shuffle and fill with a 16th feel herta. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm not super sure that I liked that, so much so that if you were paying attention, I'm always curious as to who's actually watching all of these examples. That last time, the fills, I played triplet hertas, didn't I? So the 32nd note triplet, the 32nd note herta felt really odd with the shuffle to me. So that's the kind of thing that you want to work on, you want to be able to do. You might not ever use it. There's two really great ways to master really any skill, this instrument, whatever. One is work on a few things so that you could be woken up out of a sound sleep in the middle of the night and you could play it well, okay? Things that are just, we talk about this a lot, I talk about having things like just at your beck and call, right, that you master. But then another thing you want to do is work on things that you'll probably never play. And the nice thing is if you work on oddball things that you probably will never play, every once in a while you'll find a really oddball thing that goes together. And you're just expanding your ability to move around in awkward ways. So even if you're practicing something that you won't ever use, it's helpful. I probably won't ever use 30-second note hertas with a shuffle. So number 14, now we're on that first inversion. And I didn't need to cut off a herta at the end because I'm starting with the last third of a herta, right? So the herta at the beginning is the one that's cut, and then at the end, I'm just playing the full herta. So that sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're back to one that's going to have to crash with our left hand. 2, 3, 4. And then number 15, same thing that I did in number 13, I just made beat 4 all 16th notes. 2, 3, 4. And now we're back to being able to play the crash with the right hand. 2, 3, 4. That one I like to move around. That's the one I was saying earlier. I like to move around the first of the slow note. Right, it's just fun to have that, to give the toms a little bit more room to sing. And sometimes just giving one big note on a tom lets the tom actually sound bigger and have more presence than if you try and play a lot of notes on the toms. Toms are funny that way. Because we want them to take up some space, sometimes they get grumpy if we try and make them too articulate. And we can make our toms more articulate, but then if we play like, a big note on it, it sounds kind of wimpy. So yeah, I've decided to err on the side of a little bit bigger, beefy, boomier kind of toms, which means that I sometimes have to pull back on the articulations I want my toms to do. But it means when I do like a single note, I think they sound pretty great, right? Okay, so number 16 now, the second inversion, the last version of the herta. This one at the end, the herta goes right up until the end of the measure, and we're going to split. The one of the next measure is kind of like the last note of that herta. 2, 3, 4. And this is another one that's going to have us on the left hand. 2, 3, 4. And then finally, number 17, same as I've been doing, I just made the last beat for 16th notes. So kind of the first 2 beats of beat 4 are the end of, you could argue they're the end of that last herta, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Works like this. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's it for our written examples. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to play for like a minute or so, and I'm just going to show you how I might play these. Remember, I was saying that they can get a little bit too much sometimes. Sometimes too much is cool, right? There's that old saying, less is more, and it can be. But you just need to, you need to know how to pick your shots, right? Todd Zuckerman has this great line in one of his instructional videos where he talks about the bluzda, which is this cool lick that we're not going to talk about, but it's like, and he says, if you do a bunch of those in a row around the toms, it's kind of like, a machine gun, right? Like you very easily will just like overpower everything else. Sometimes you want to overpower everything else, and sometimes everything else going on needs you to be that powerful, right? And sometimes it will get you fired. So it's all about picking your shots, right? And so some of these herta patterns that I'm going to demonstrate might be in the get you fired category depending on where you do them, right? And that's the whole point, right? The point is making an artistic statement and knowing when to go for it and when not to, and when holding back is in fact going for it, right? Okay, so here I'm going to be going for it a little because this is a demonstration, right, to show you some possibilities. But maybe I'll try and do a couple that are a little bit more tasteful. 1, 2, 3, 4. So stuff like that is always a little artificial, right? Because I'm trying to think, hertas, hertas, play hertas. And I'm not just flowing and thinking or not thinking. That's the problem, right? I am thinking. So please download this sheet and actually work on these patterns. The more patterns you get in your hands and just ready to go as you're flowing, as you're playing, they will just come out, right? So the only way to do that is to practice things over and over again, right? Yay, Penny is talking about practicing again. Woohoo! So there's either a little or a lot this week. You can like go through this worksheet and be like, okay, I got it. But towards the end there, I was playing some hertas on the hi-hat, and I wanted to do that to show you that you can play them however you want. Something we didn't even talk about that I'm gonna, Your Honor, I want this case to be reopened. Something we didn't even talk about is you can play the herta patterns, you can play these rhythms as double strokes. So instead of right, and that opens up a whole new can of fish, right? You suddenly can turn your sticking around almost the same as you would with a paradiddle, right? That's how it functions. And let's say I want to do just one double, right, to turn myself around. That's what I was saying earlier about be creative. Think of new ways to do this. What about doing some of the herta pattern with your foot? Didn't even talk about that, right? We could probably do 2 or 3 more lessons just on the herta. And given our scope of lessons this year, I'm not going to do that right now. Who knows, maybe depending on how the rest of the year goes, we'll have something else on hertas. It's more likely hertas would be a part of another lesson rather than, hey, let's do crazy things with the herta. But don't feel like just playing through the sheet is enough. Play these patterns. Work them into your playing. If you noticed, as I was playing, there's some of these that I love and I played a bunch. And then there's some that I had to kind of remind myself, okay, try and play that one, try and demonstrate for them, right? Good. That means I play like me. I want you to play like you. So go through this page and figure out which ones work for you and which ones excite you and which ones you want to play over and over again and which ones you like how they sound, right? This is all about sound. Which sound makes you happy? We already know it's drums because you're here, but then what on the drums makes your heart go, yes, right? That's what we're looking for, okay? So I want to make a GIF of that. I should probably make a GIF of that before someone else makes a GIF of that. So I have now pronounced GIF all 3 ways. So no one can yell at me. Okay, so that's it. That's going to wrap it up for today. Just hertas all day today. Wow, a single subject lesson. But I felt like it made sense to just take our time and chew on this incredibly versatile yet incredibly simple pattern, right? You can play hertas right now. Everybody, I could teach my mom to play. And just in case it's not clear, teaching my mom to play something on the drums is, let's just say my mom is not musical. So, but seriously, anybody can play this, right? So once you can play, okay, great. What are we doing with it? And the answer is whatever the heck we want, right? So take these exercises, practice them, but then come up with your own patterns too. You know, maybe you're going to mix it up and do some of this inversion and some of that inversion in the same measure. One of the things I did in that little demonstration I did was to play, you know, some measures of fill where it was like, right? Like, so there was some 16th notes or maybe some space and then a couple hertas, right, thrown in. And that's when hertas get really, I also did like the crazy, you know, Carter Beauford, just to show you what I'm talking about and see what I mean about that. That's very, whew, the band better be cooking when you do that, or your name better be Carter Beauford, right? So that's a perfect example. I'm rambling at this point, but one more thought. When Carter was pretty much the first person that I really became aware of doing this pattern a lot way back in the day, right, with Dave Matthews Band. And the thing is, the Dave Matthews Band is a jam band, and they part of their ethic is that their players all play and have fun playing and are boisterous and enthusiastic and teetering on the edge of overplaying sometimes. And Carter's bombastic, lots of notes style has become part of their signature sound. And so when you listen to Dave Matthews Band and you hear all these hertas and you think, oh, these are great, I'm going to go do these at my next gig, and your next gig is like a classic rock thing or like a top 40 thing, that might be a problem, right? Hertas can be really overwhelming really quickly. And so, like I was saying earlier, it's all about picking your spot, right? Hertas are a great way to do it if you have the shot to pick. I'll stop preaching. I am preaching. I apologize. Okay, y'all. So this is my second time filming this lesson. The first time I forgot to start the audio recording. So the first time was better. Sorry. I'm a first take kind of girl. So, all right. So I hope you guys are still practicing. I appreciate you all being with me on this journey. It means a lot to me, you all checking in and saying you're enjoying the lessons. That means a ton. It means more to me than you could possibly know. But I'm going to wrap, and I will see you all next week. There's probably going to be some gear videos coming up, and all y'all that are here mostly for lessons, you know, if you see a video that's about like a cymbal or microphones or whatever, and you're like, okay, no, that's not why I'm here. Okay, that's cool. Just skip those. I'll try to keep labeling things clearly. So if there's a video you don't care about, you don't have to watch. But just to warn you that there probably will be especially some cymbal videos coming up. I may have some news on that front too. Okay, I will see you guys all again real soon. I love you so much. Take care.